this evening. The students will present for around 15 minutes or so, and then there will be 5 minutes of Q&A afterwards. So without further ado, our first presenter, we have Hiba. You are lucky number 1.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, let me. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Hiba. I'm a designer, and I'm from Lebanon, the Middle East. And I must say, museums have been a big part of my early adulthood when I was able to start traveling on my own. It happened that I was working at the same company with my best friend when we had very similar interests in art and architecture. So we planned a lot of our trips together, and we would be as excited about the museums we're going to visit as the trips themselves. And personally, I can comfortably say that museums did take me out from my comfort zones at time, and but definitely made my world bigger. So yeah, museums are a gateway contact point between communities, culture, society, civilization. And in the multicultural world we live in now, that's even more important than, in my opinion, than before. And what I found very special about BIMA is that they offer not only they offer all of this, with free admission, which makes it accessible to anyone, but they have really nice, well-curated, well-produced digital content that even have a wider audience than the museum itself, because they're very they're very varied, and they're free and they're available. That makes the world a click away. But having said that, this content is not really as accessible as we would like it to be, we as the users. And it takes us to the business problem, is that the videos are either you stumble upon them or you don't know how to get back to them. So they're just not as there as you would like them to be. So in the coming few slides, I'm going to propose how I'm going to walk you through my proposal for the digital library, along with some visual enhancement for the design, the mobile and the desktop. When we first started, we started with a common user research, all us working on BIMA. We sent out like around 50 people, 50% of them were living or have lived around the area, Seattle area, and half of them were on BIMA's mailing list. And basically we wanted to know how many of those who have visited BIMA did watch one of your videos. And in general, what do people watch art-related programs? And it turned out that 10% from those who visited the website, not BIMA's visitor, have watched one of your videos. And most of the people, like 85%, go to YouTube for such programs. So I'm going to start with a small story. Miss Claudia, she's constantly on the lookout for supplementary visual aid for her class, and it stresses her preparing for her classes and how to find and easily access material that are free, creatively educational, stimulating, and age appropriate. So as a third grade teacher, I would like to expose my students to new thoughts, as that will help inspire them to think big. When I first started, I knew, I mean, the library has to be present on the homepage, and there were 3 places to have it. 1 on the nav bar, 2 add it in the menu, and 3 have a section halfway through the homepage. And when I first started, in terms of the page itself, when I first started, I was deciding whether I need to filter within an already pre-filtered section, or they can access everything at the same time. And I wanted something with minimal quick clicks and easy, like not to be too technical. And I also know, just because the filtering bar has to be, it's a very small feature, but it plays a big role in the success of the library itself. So I decided to do usability testing from the early on stages of the prototypes. So I did three user testing, and I worked with 5 people, but 2 of them I talked to them twice just because of the time constraint. So the first prototype, I wanted it to be conversational, and as if almost you're like in the museum and you're talking to them. Anything in particular you're looking for? Do you have anything for kids? I would love to have this. If I can find something. I created the icons for the bar, the icon for the media library, and in all honesty, this didn't really go well. They just didn't know where to click. I think it wasn't intuitive for them. They had to read, they had to stop, and the icons really got their attention, and not because they're informative, it just got their attention. So I knew there needs to be a major, and the bar, it's like the filter itself took a big real estate from the page. So fast forward few trials and designs I opted for removing the icon from the nav bar. Instead of having icons for the filter, I made it actionable buttons like filter, and I created 2 levels for the filter. First level screening, and if they click on something, then a bar opens, and it's categorized by the what, if there's any specific keywords you're looking for, the who, kids, teens, and how, like live or online or. And with this way, you can add, definitely you can, the menu can grow comfortably. In terms of the mood board, I would say also my inspiration has been the walls of a museum. I like to work with a white on white, black on black, clean framing. And of course, square was prominent because of the logo, BIMA's logo. In terms of the style guide, a lot of it is based on BIMA's style guide. Latus font is amazing to work with. These are the colors, and I assigned a color for the major 3 sections of our exhibition, event, and media library, but I had to tweak a bit the colors just so that they work nicely together. And in terms of the components, I can talk about this in the prototype. This a sneak preview of how the library page is, and I'm going to jump to my prototype. Just full screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the homepage, I opted for a simple nav bar. In terms of the homepage imagery, whether it's a video or an image, I thought anything that shows the BIMA community is more informative or more emotional, even just to say the variety of people, they hang out, they spend time, go with kids. First section, of course, I would start with exhibition. I opted for two items per row instead of 3, because I just wanted to give weight for the exhibitions that you're having. It's almost like a piece. Again, you're looking at a wall of a museum. And also, like when you're looking at a painting and you get closer to see the texture, like here, there's always a discovery with the pieces here. The colors, like the blue is for this section. Also, I wanted to work with clean frames. So as always, when you're scrolling, there's always clean, they're nicely framed. Same system here. And you can go to the section from here. The media library is slightly different. I wanted to create a texture of a wall of textures that's stimulating visuals, nothing obstructive, and on hover you get all the information you need about your pieces. If you're interested, you can go to a video from here, or you can go to the library straight from here. So Miss Claudia is preparing a class in 2 weeks' time. It's a science class, and she thought, how about she can show how glass changes, the material changes in different environments. She thought maybe there's an artist local artist, and they work with glass, that would be great. So this is the first time she visits the page. like anyone who was like first time you go into a site, either you're going to click or you're going to scroll. So if you're scrolling, that's like it's endless videos that you see. And if you scroll, the menu opens, like the filter, or you can check it, like you can in any way you can access it either from here or you open the filter. So let's say we started with local artist. Everything updates, the number of videos, the tags, and the videos. And if you're scrolling and the filter is bugging you, then at any time you can hide the filter, you can show it. And since these are long scrolls, I made few things that I felt would be helpful to orient the user. These anchors would always take you to the top of the page. Wherever you are filter, you can reopen it and see if there's any, and I mean, if there's any active tags or not. And if you see I created very faint textures in the background just to feel that there's something happening. So just quickly, local artists, kids, just to give you a feel of how things change. And you can pick more than one tag. So teens. And so she wants to see, and yeah, if you want to clear, either you can clear all from here, or you can clear any tag from over here. It clears. So let's say, and we're looking for glass. So you're going to type in glass. She's going to activate it. There's one video for that has local artists and glass. And in any active filters, if you scroll down, you get to see all the videos. You click. One of the things I wanted to do also in the website, like just to keep them within the website as much as possible. So here they can go back to the digital library. They can watch the video with primary, secondary information, get to know the artist. This is all dummy information, text, but just to give to create the sections. Other work by the artist. And if any of the work is in another section of the museum, then it's either you can access it from here, or you can access the actual event from here. And something else to watch, this also takes you back to either another video or to the library. From here, you go to the homepage. And very quickly, in terms of the mobile, it's a very similar experience. Scrolling down, clear sections, with the color coding, you go to the media library. The first level of filter, you can scroll left and right, you can pick the video updates and the number updates, and you scroll, you can find your way up back here. Just for the presentation, like we're looking for creative aging and typing in glass, you okay it. Of course, you can remove your tag from here. You okay it, go to the section, scroll, you're interested to read more, get to know the artist, other work by the artist, and more to watch. So other than, for me, this feels sort of maybe even a personal project, and I really enjoyed working on this project. But thinking about it, I think it would be nice to add some more other features. Like Miss Claudia would love it if she can create her own video list where she can like videos and add to those, to make her own list and control it. Add more tags. This would make the whole thing, like the whole artwork, even more current. They could be fun to work with. And of course, more user testing. Thank you very much.
Great, good job, Hiba. All right, well, now we are going to open it up for questions from the clients.
Great. Wow, that was awesome. I would love to hear what my coworkers are thinking right now, but it's really exciting to see something for the first time, because we've been just talking about this project for the last 6 months or so and how it needs to happen. So to see something happening in front of me was really exciting. I'm trying to put my questions together.
I really enjoyed the what seemed to be an easy search, and the whole filter idea that you can dig deeper. You know, it's not just based on just the word you type in, but you could filter for you know, a focus that you're really looking for, like, you know, things for kids or glass or whatever. I think that I like that. I don't have a lot of comments on, you know, the design. I think it's very thoughtful how you looked at the, you know, what Beam is doing and the colors and the font and all of that. I know there's a lot of detailed thinking behind that. That's not my area of expertise so much, but I like the usability.
Would the videos be hosted still on YouTube, do you, or and pull in, or would they need to get hosted on the?
No, they could be played, and that was the whole purpose of it, for you to be able to play them. I mean,
Yeah.
if there's any technical back end, this is not my expertise.
Okay, yeah.
In principle, you can view them in the website, in Beamer.
Yeah.
And I just had one question just to clarify for me, but you know, the vertical scroll thing, basically, if you typed on the menu, you would get that same listing, I'm assuming, or you could just choose to explore by scrolling.
Yeah, so the home, if I can just quickly take you, the homepage would, one second. Yeah. So these videos are organized by date of release. They're not organized in any way. Unless you have an active filter, then they're sorted out. And then once once you're done with the filtered videos, you get to see the remaining videos of the library.
Okay.
If this is your question.
Yeah, and the only thing about usability is a lot of people might be looking for something in particular, and I guess they can type in the words if they can spell it right. But just the photo alone, a lot of people won't recognize what that is, so they'd literally have to scroll over each one. I'm just wondering if, you know, adding the name of the artist or the, you know, whatever it is, along with the video, because people could recognize things more readily.
I mean, there's a quick solution here, like you can see it, where you have all the information present, with the videos. But it was sort of, I mean, of course, like, you know, your users better, but I think part of an experience, they're stimulated by, like, they're intrigued by the videos, by the cover images that you're going to use. So that would be, in principle, enough for them to get their interest. But you're very, like, it's totally valid that they might be looking for something very specific. But then it depends, most of them, are they browsing or are they searching? So I don't know those numbers. Usually those who would be visiting the website, if they know specifically what they're looking for or not. I mean, and if they are, they can search it from the search bar to start with. They can search, they can access it from there.
Yeah, and we don't know quite yet because we haven't had this living on our website in a real way. So right now, most people are getting to our videos through direct links from an email or somewhere else. And
I don't know if Quorum just happened to feed you all of my favorite images to make sure I liked it, but you picked a lot of them.
You know, but on
definitely.
But on purpose, I picked really different images just to show that the grid system would work with any images. They don't have to be curated, but the cover image itself has to be a nice image. But other than this, they would work on their own, like, in principle, you know. Of course, you can manage it, but it should be a flexible system to work with.
Yeah, I definitely like how it appears flexible. That it's easy for me, I can see how easy it would be to navigate and find out what I want as associate curator.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a excellent starting place. I'd love to hear feedback from our actual members and our demographic, but from what you've done here, I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah, and around the kind of conversation about whether our users are searching for something specific or looking to discover something, maybe something like this is an opportunity to push them to discover something that they weren't necessarily looking for, and get them to go down the BIMA digital library rabbit hole of all the things that we've created from these pretty pictures. It's a great design. I really enjoyed it.
I hope BIMA friends will allow this. If I could, I would just love to give Hiba some comments more about her presentation than the work,
Yeah.
if I may.
Please.
It was excellent. You're really
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're very comfortable presenter, and there was never a moment where I thought she doesn't know what she's talking about or she has to rely on her notes. You felt totally in command of what you were explaining, and so that was tremendous. Thank you. I thought, I mean, and then the essence of the work itself. I mean, the actual design was very thoughtful, and seems like you had taken into account, kind of every usability issue. And I love the fact you said this first attempt was kind of a failure. It's like, oh, that's a wonderful thing to say in any kind of a situation, whether it's with a client or a hiring manager, because it shows that you went on an exploration trip, and not all of those are always successful. So I think that was a really smart move. I have two super technical questions, and I don't know what I'm talking about, so bear that in mind. The term digital library, is that a term that you tested with your people, and were they good with that? Because I wasn't quite sure it just screamed video loudly. What was your thought on that?
For us or for?
No, this is for Hiba.
Okay.
Actually, when I first started, I wanted to work with our stories or to find a nice word for a digital library. But I honestly gave up on it after my conversational menu didn't work. And I thought there has to be like almost onboarding for people to understand what it is. And that's why I went with something that's sort of understandable, like either digital library or video library. And I felt digital library is a nicer word than a video library.
The only thing I would say about it is it may set up the expectation that I'm just going to see scans, digital images, still images, not video. Anyway, that occurred to me.
Yeah.
The other thing, I just wanted your opinion on this, which is typically when you see a library like this, you have the little triangular play symbol, play icon, and you didn't go that route. And I was sitting here watching like, well, that's kind of cool. I mean, we all get it. We don't maybe need that. But did you go through that exploration and to wind up in there in a very deliberate way?
Yeah, actually this one, initially I had this on all the cover images, and from the first testing they were confused. If they see the icon, then does it mean I can play it here or not? This was a bit confusing. So my first step was I faded it down, but then I'm like, when they are in the digital library and when they screen, I mean, it says 49 videos. So I didn't feel there's a need to repeat that video icon, and that's why I just put it on hover. I
see. Okay. I missed that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a superb job. Really well done.
Thank you. I really enjoyed working on this.
Good. Thank you for all the time and effort you put into it. I will just add, just as an aside, that since starting this project, we ended up getting a grant through the Murdoch Charitable Trust to do some research on our video content and what's resonating and what we should focus on moving forward, and them exploring what we call it. Could it be a really so we're going to be working with Pyramid Communications to do a whole study on this, not on the way we display it like this, but on the content itself, and them looking at what we should call it would be an interesting question for them to explore.
Yeah, Oh, that's great.
It's really exciting though that you have this potential of no longer sending your visitors on a scavenger hunt
Yeah.
to find the video.
Yeah.
So great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good job, Hiba. All right. So next up, we have Logan, and Logan worked on the permanent art collection. So Logan, whenever you are ready.
All right, everybody can see that okay?
Yes.
I want to preface this. My upstairs neighbors are kind of loud, so if you hear anything strange, that's what's happening. Let me get a timer going.
Is it a clogging problem?
Something like that, or bowling or rustling, you know,
Oh yeah.
you never know.
It's bad living under a bowling alley, isn't it?
It is, it gets old quick. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I'm here talking to you guys about the permanent art collection webpage for BEMA. So to start off, a little bit about myself. I'm a graphic designer, as you might have guessed. Been in Seattle for around 7 years, and I really enjoy art. I like making art, as you can see. Linoleum block prints are kind of my go-to. But I also love just going to museums and being exposed to everything that's out there in the world. So this project has been pretty fun to be able to peek into your guys' permanent art collection and think about how to display all that stuff. So getting right into it, our primary goal for this is really just having a space on the internet for the permanent art collection. What you folks have right now is technically a page, but not super shallow. So we're trying to add a little depth to that. And of course, some other goals. After getting to talk to some of you folks, it was pretty evident that, you know, you guys want to serve the artists that have made this possible, and why not? They made this possible. So we definitely want to focus on making right with the artists, just making sure that everything is in line there. And then finally, creating an experience that's engaging, that's really fun, something that's going to keep people coming back, and something that people will actually use. So speaking of users, the target audience for this page, I focused in on the casual user. After talking with you guys, it sounded like that was kind of something y'all wanted to hone in on. And the casual user versus a power user is, you know, somebody just looking at art versus somebody that's a curator or someone really trying to dig in deep into the details. So keeping it real focused on kind of the top level info. And some of these people might be students, teachers, you know, members and donors, community members, and general art enthusiasts. So started off doing some research, and the first thing was stakeholder interviews with some of you folks. Thanks again for taking the time to do that. It was really nice getting to talk to y'all and just kind of get to know the problem a little better. So a few takeaways I got from that was, number one, the general public's not going to dive super deep. So once again, just keeping things pretty high level and not hitting them with a bunch of information. And second up, the permanent art collection is a defining part of BEMA, which really makes sense. You know, this is going to live potentially for the life of the museum. So what you guys are collecting really reflects who you are. So being able to showcase that in a nice way, this is definitely a priority. And then of course, going back to the artists, you know, how can we reliably and consistently maintain their information? How can we make sure that we're doing right by them? So the next round of research we did was some user surveys. Sent that out to around 40 folks and luckily got some feedback. So the first quote I pulled, this person's talking about how they've discovered a local artist on Instagram, and subsequently they purchased something through that platform. So the takeaway that I got from this is, you know, Instagram is popular for a reason. These apps are really good at allowing people to discover things. discovering new artists, whatever it is. Every time you go back there, there's something new to discover. There's never a shortage of things to check out. So how can we bring that into this experience? The next quote here is talking about audio and visual media. Somebody saw a recorded presentation from Fry Museum and they were super impressed with the videography. Just really felt like it was a great experience for them. So once again, how can we incorporate these different types of media into this experience? And the final quote I have here is somebody who they really like to immerse themselves in someone else's work from the comfort of their own home. They take a lot of time to process things. They like to be able to walk away and then come back. So what I got from this is how can we create an experience that's easy to access and easy to kind of walk away from and come back to? So with all that, the solution that I came up with is this idea of collections. So on a basic level, a collection is just people being able to curate their own kind of mini gallery of the pieces in the permanent art collection. So this means that BIMA is going to be able to curate their own little miniature galleries that they can feature on this site. Of course, users are going to be able to create their own little mini curated collections that they can show. And this gives you an opportunity to have guest curators come in. Maybe it's an artist from the community that wants to highlight some pieces from the collection. And maybe it even coincides with a talk that someone has just given. You can create a little collection of all the pieces that are in that talk. And then the second big goal for this, I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but they're going nuts up there. We want to give the users the ability to create and to come back. So creating these own collections, if there's pieces in there, if there's artists, what I've built into these pages is you can come back, you can see if it's going to be on display. You can see if there's an event coming up for this piece or the artist that's involved with it. And then you can see if there's some video that's going to be attached to that. So, teachers can use this to create a curriculum. Students can use this for projects, kind of assembling some of the pieces that might be in there. So without further ado, let's jump into the prototype. And I'm starting out here with the mobile. So this is the home page for the mobile. And right off the bat here, we have a featured section. And this is where BIMA can choose different collections that they want to feature. So for example, yesterday was International Women's Day. You could create a collection and put that up here. It's kind of some new content. Anything you want to highlight is going to be in this section. And it's not just one collection. You'll have the ability to put a few in there and users can scroll through that. So then moving down to the main part of the page, we've included some, let's see here, some really top level filters to just really get people to jump in there pretty quickly. Right now it's defaulted to new. As you can see, the button highlighted there. But of course we can have popular, anything that's already on display, or maybe a random button to just kind of mix things up and really make that discovery easier for people. So here is the corresponding desktop homepage. So once again, the featured section here where you guys can highlight any collections you think are good, the kind of top level filters, and the bulk of your page there. So from here, I'm going to show you guys the search functionality. I've included two places for the search just to make sure it's really easy for people to get there. So when you first scroll down into the main part of the page, you're going to have a search button there, as well as a search button on the sticky navigation. So of course, we have the search bar here. If someone has something specific they're looking for, they can just type it in there. And this is going to serve you up anything related based on an artist, a piece that's in the collection, a collection, or anything else that might be related. And then we go to our filters, the option to show anything that's on display, relevance, kind of your standard new to old, A to Z, things there, as well as artists. And of course, all of this stuff can be kind of tailored to to what works for users and what works for you folks. So once you have some filters selected, you just hit apply, and that's going to serve up your page there. So let's jump into a collection. So this is a collection page. We start you off here with the big image, something from the collection. And you have the ability here to scroll through and see all the pieces that are in the collection. Down here, you can use the arrows to navigate as well. And I've included a share button so that folks can kind of put that out in the world and help other people discover some of this awesome art. And then from there, we have a little information section, the name of the collection, the name of the person that made it, and then a little short description. And then following that, we have each individual piece from the collection is going to be listed here. And then finally, we have a related section. So if there's a collection with a similar tag or somehow related, that's all going to end up here. And that, really drives the discovery. Something someone might not have seen is going to get served down there. And like someone was saying, going down the rabbit hole of all the permanent art collection artwork. So from here, let's jump into an individual piece. So the way that you'll add these pieces to a collection is using the little heart button here. Unfortunately, time and my Figma knowledge didn't allow me to create the pop-up module. But if you can imagine, when you hit this, a little module will pop up and ask you if you'd like to add it to an existing collection or create a new collection. So you'll have those two choices, and that's basically how people will build these collections. So going into a piece, my prototype will go. So here we have a piece page. So this is for individual pieces. If a piece has more than one image, you'll be able to scroll through those here. Once again, you have the ability to favorite it down here, favorite or unfavorite it, share it, similar to the collection. And then you have the information section. So the name of the piece, the name of the artist with a link to whatever website they have, whatever they prefer can go there. So that we're really showcasing these artists here. And then for the information, we start with just a short description, maybe a couple of lines. But once you tap more, you can dig into a lot more info. So right now I just have tags on there, but really anything that is important and you guys want to include can go in this section and be accessible without overwhelming people with a ton of information. So below that, we have kind of the shout out or the other info section. And this is where it's going to connect you with kind of everything else related to these pieces. So if it's on display, it'll show here, show the dates. You click on that and maybe it brings you to a page about the exhibit that it's in. If the artist that made the piece has an event going, you can showcase that here. Once again, give it a click and it'll take you to that page. And if there are any items related to this in the shop, linking to that as well. And of course, if there's any videos that are available, having that embedded here so people can jump right in and see that content. So then below here, we have the same collection. So if this piece is part of a Bima collection, then it'll show other pieces that are in that collection. It's kind of another means of discovery, as well as a related section for any pieces that have similar tags or anything that can kind of tie them together. So that is the piece page, and I'm going to show you all the desktop versions of both of those. So this is the collection page for desktop. No ability to scroll on the top image since we have more real estate, just showing everything down here below. But everything is pretty similar. Information section, the pieces in the collection, as well as any related pieces or collections. And then here we have the piece page. So once again, very similar to mobile, just on a larger scale. Got your information section. You'll be able to drill down into more information if you'd like to. And then any other photos of the piece that that are attached to it. And then below that, the more information section, of course, embedded video, and then any other links related to this piece. So before I run out of time, I'll show you guys the profile page. So once you're signed up, you'll have the ability to look at all this stuff without signing up. But once you're signed up, you have the ability to save a collection. So once you've saved a collection, it's going to add it to your profile page here. And as you can see, just your name, maybe like an image for your account, as well as a little description or something, assuming people will be able to look at the people who create these collections, and then any of the collections that you've collected. So that's the profile page. And here's the corresponding page for desktop. Once again, pretty similar. All right. And that's all I got for the prototypes. There we go. So given a little more time, I'd really like to dive a little deeper into the desktop views. I spent a lot of time on the mobile, really trying to refine that and get a good prototype made. So definitely would like to spend a little more time there. Other things, information architecture is pretty big with the filters. So dedicating a little more time to that and figuring that out, as well as interactions, anything from, pop-ups, the screens in between screens, to little things like hovering over a button, or the fun animations that kind of bring a site to life. And then finally, of course, user testing, getting this in some people's hands and seeing what works and what doesn't. So with that, I'd just like to thank BIMA for giving us the chance to do this. It's been really fun getting to know you guys and BIMA and getting a first view at your permanent art collection. So thank you, folks. And that's all.
Good job, Logan. All right, questions?
Wow, this is like so exciting. This whole night. I love this. Every time we've done this with SVC, it's so exciting. Slightly overwhelming too, but in a good way. I loved all of it. I did have a couple questions. When it displays on the collections, like the collection example you showed was Alfredo Araguin, and it showed a piece by his, but what would you imagine it defaulting to if we were showing a collection that had various artists in it? How would it, whose picture, or how would we choose what picture to represent that whole collection?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was trying to think about this because, there's the chance that there's a few images people really love and you see in every collection. So I don't really have a great answer there. I think it kind of would come to the back end and how maybe you can randomize that so that, maybe it changes every time it's displayed. Or maybe you're able to set one image is like the top one. But yeah, that's a great question. Don't have a solid answer for you though.
Yeah.
I also had a question. I loved how beautifully square everything was, but when you click into that, is there an ability to make it like if it's a 16:9 photo, do you ever get to a point where it opens it up to the actual size of the photo?
Yeah. So I would say with that, like once you're on the piece page or something, just tapping on this front image here would bring up like a full size thing.
Yeah, I just worry that there are so many different sizes and shapes to all the art pieces that there might be something long and skinny that would be really tough to fit into a square.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not, as far as mobile goes, I'm not exactly sure how you get around that other than maybe having to turn your phone to landscape or something.
Yeah, the hardest one we've ever had to display is in this sort of online format is an oar, a rowing oar, or paddle, I should say. Sorry, a paddle that's really long and really skinny. And so yeah, there definitely need to be a way to make it show.
But I
Beautiful.
mean, that being said, if we knew it was always square, we would shoot knowing that it's always square.
It's true. Yeah, try as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the ability.
Curious to hear Amy and Greg's questions on this.
I don't have any questions. I like how easy it seems and friendly and, you know, kind of inviting, and I like that you kind of know what you're looking at, but it's so inviting to scroll. So it, what Sean's comment about the rabbit hole, I mean, I could see people just really wanting to play around with this in particular, especially if it's an artist they like and they want to know more. And the collections part, I think, is exciting because, it could be an artist's name. It could also be jewelry or glass or artists of color. We can create so many different collections, and that would be fun to brainstorm with audience members to see what they would be asking for.
Yeah,
Definitely. Logan, you took a really big thing and I love how you put it through that Instagram platform and just the shareability feature. Like that just seems so easy, and I like that format a lot, and how that you suggested to connect different threads at the bottom of each one that if it's on display. I think that is such a really in tune aspect to looking at a museum's collection. So I know you put a lot of a thought into how you would want to access a piece of art or learn more. So I appreciate that. I thought that was really.
Yeah, I thought the idea of being able to build your own collection was really cool too. I think that'd be fun, and I don't know how it would work. I'm sure we could tie it in with Salesforce somehow or another, but an awesome opportunity for someone to have to sign up and give us their email address and build that list.
definitely.
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed how you started the phrases you used, like serving artists, because I know so many times we're looking at how do we serve the person out there looking for information, how do we serve the audience, but serving artists is such a huge part of it. And this idea that you could shop the artist, like let's say we had published a book on them, this is where you could reference that also on the exhibition sites, but also we could link to their galleries, or if they sold things other places or something. I mean, I just think there's so many, this concept of serving artists, it's there's so many things we can do, and artists are just so hungry for that. We're hearing, especially during COVID, more and more, but just in general. And part of it, frankly, there are so many artists. We have this, per capita. I mean, I'm amazed I'm amazed so many artists can survive in this region, but more and more they're wanting help, beyond just the fact that, hi, we have this piece in the collection, and it would make it a very much living, breathing thing. We might have collected something, we're 8 years old now. We could have collected something virtually 10 years ago before we had the building, but we can still breathe life into that relationship. I think that's cool.
Yeah, well, that all came from you guys. You made it very clear that, you put the artists first and really value kind of giving back to them in any way that you can. But thank you.
Thank you for all your work.
Yeah, thank you guys and girls.
Larry, I see you.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Logan, we did not hear the bowlers,
Oh,
No,
but I
I
can imagine how challenging that was to present thinking we could, and how it was, a real battle. So you handled that very well.
well, thank you.
Also, just as I said to Hiba, really excellent presentation skills in terms of your eye contact and your modulation of your voice, and speaking with confidence. I think you're in great shape there.
Good to hear.
I had a compliment. I don't know if this was a Bima inspired idea or something of your invention, but this notion, like Greg was talking about on the artwork detail page, of showing the, things in the shop or special events on display. That was really a sweet addition. So I thought that was really smart.
Thanks.
I noticed a couple times you scrolled by something and didn't comment about it, but it was a little banner to add yourself to the mailing list. And it looked like it was on every art detail page.
Oh, yeah.
So what were you thinking there?
That's just the footer info, which I pulled directly from the
Oh,
Beamer's
that's
page.
footer.
Yeah.
So for some reason, maybe just the way you were going through your prototype, it looked like it was showing up in the middle of a scroll.
Oh,
So
it could have maybe like some delays between my prototype and just going through Zoom, but
okay, never mind. Last question. How will a visitor understand they can create a personal collection?
that is a very good question. Yeah, I think that's something
We will work on that.
for sure, because I'm not sure the heart would pull everybody in. That's a really good piece of feedback.
That's an awesome feature. And so it's probably just finding the way to introduce people to it. But anyway, really nice work again, and well told.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job. Yeah, exactly. Whatever that means.
This is what we do because it's, I think it's
Sign language for
sign
applause.
language for applause. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Like
that
this?
way, when everyone's on mute, we know we're applauding each other. It's something that one of our directors worked for I can't remember what organization, the Center for the Deaf or something like that. So,
allow us to steal that one.
yeah.
Good one. Awesome. Well, I think we should take a quick break before the next two presentations. So let's meet back in 10 minutes.
Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brendan, and I did work on the digital content library. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Just a quick overview about Bima, although most of you are going to be familiar with this. The museum showcases work from the Puget Sound region. In most years, has 15 to 20 new shows, as well as a growing permanent collection. It's a short ferry ride away from Seattle, so it attracts visitors from around the world and fosters a richer understanding of the region's artistic and cultural contributions. Also offers many educational programs, such as hands-on art projects, summer camps, adult workshops, and other programs. And the mission is to inspire curiosity, wonder, and understanding by connecting people with the Puget Sound region. And then some of the brand personality traits that you had shared with us were down to earth, spirited, informed, flexible, and stylish. So I did try to keep that in mind as I worked on this project. So we'll take a look at your current website to see how it kind of communicates these ideas. It's clean and modern, The voice is friendly and welcoming rather than intimidating or pretentious. It also clearly showcases the regional aspect of your mission. Upcoming events and exhibits are clearly presented and communicated to users, so everyone on the website can easily find what's happening at the museum. And then, of course, there's a site menu to make it even easier for users to find out information about the museum's hours, upcoming exhibits, events, educational programs, or if they would like to become a member or donate. So all that's great. So what's the problem? Problem is that you have a growing video collection, including artist lectures, exhibition tours, concerts, and so on. But there's no central hub for users to find this content. Just trying to track it down myself, I saw that a lot of it's on YouTube. Some of it is on Facebook, and some of it is linked in various portions of the website, while others are not. And so the goal would be to make it easy for visitors to browse the entire video catalog and find content that interests them. So there's a couple of reasons this is a good idea. First of all, this past year, many people have been staying indoors, and access to live art events has diminished significantly. And many people are turning to the internet as a way of kind of exploring the world around them. But even beyond that, as museums open up again, and we look to a future of human connection and in-person art events and lectures, there's still plenty of reason to develop a comprehensive video library for your users. For example, Jeff is a local guy. He visits BEMA a few times a year. Really likes to attend lectures and concerts when he can, but he's also busy and finds that staying connected through your website allows him to check out some of the exhibits he might have missed. Samantha and Tim used to live in Seattle and actually met at BEMA, but they moved away and still are interested in the Puget Sound art scene and want to keep in touch with what's going on here. And then Chrissy lives in Toronto. She likes to dabble in various artistic disciplines and came across your art in action videos. She's since discovered your website and mission and likes to tune into some events. And she's actually planned a trip to Seattle and has added BEMA to her itinerary. Unfortunately, she did run into a parked car after this photo was taken, but she's doing okay. Oh, and then Judy. She's a museum member who just loves to keep up with the latest exhibits and artist talks. So we did reach out to some people to kind of get an idea of their browsing habits. And we found that out of the people who had used your website, a majority of the people we asked did use mobile, although a significant portion did use desktop as well, and some used both. So we wanted to make sure that we incorporate both of those options. 70% or so of users prefer to use YouTube for exploring art-related video content, which is good news because a lot of your content is on YouTube already, and those videos are easy to embed into a website. And then as far as the type of content users were interested in, it was kind of all over the place, but really there's a strong interest in artist talks, exhibition tours, cultural programs, and concerts. So let's take a quick look at some of the design process here. I started out with some very simple diagrams, just kind of getting an idea of how I wanted to have a user interact with the videos. I wanted to kind of break it down by category of video. So if somebody just really wants to, go through some artist lectures and talks, they can do that. Or if they're specifically interested in concerts, they can just kind of browse through those. Keeping with the idea of a museum, I wanted to really give the website some space and openness, like an art gallery. I wanted to make sure that the content had room to breathe and really let the videos be the star of the show. And I also wanted to create a digital space where visitors can kind of take their time and discover new art without feeling overwhelmed or rushed. So sticking with your current website, I stayed with those primary colors and really used color very sparingly, mostly because the video content itself often, could be very colorful or visually busy, and I didn't want to fight with that at all. It's really let those videos shine. And then I also stayed with the typefaces currently in use on your website because they seem to work well. So go ahead and take a quick look at the desktop version and then the mobile version, which is very similar. And I'll go ahead and look further at those. So here's the current website. Should look familiar, and go to the menu here, and then we go down to digital content library. So first it'll take you to a live stream page. This could be showcasing, in events in real time, talks or concerts. When there's nothing going on, it could potentially just be showing a live stream of, a gallery space. You can click to view more information. And then move on to other categories such as exhibition tours. Again, more details about an exhibition, information is shared on social media. More exhibitions, and so on through various categories, artist talks, etc. All the way over, to concerts. And then you can also, filter content. So you have the option of filtering within this specific category, exhibition tours or all videos, as well as newest to oldest, oldest to newest, alphabetical or reverse alphabetical. Just wanted to make it really, really simple to kind of just dive in and start exploring. So for example, I'll just do oldest, newest, or pop on over to alphabetical, and then we can see that it's arranged that way. And then you can also, if you wanted to filter by, let's see, all videos, do the same thing, can choose whichever way you'd like to filter it, stick to newest, and then you'll see that all categories are selected. And so then you're actually viewing the entire video library from newest to oldest. And then to get out of that, you can just kind of pop back into a category. And then the search would just be a really simple search bar here. And I'll move on over to mobile, which is basically the same thing. All the same content, all the same interactions. Again, you have kind of a menu of categories here. Go check out some other ones. And then filters are exactly the same on mobile. And searching would work the same way. So I believe that is everything. Let me, if I did have more time, what I'd really like for this to do, and I did quite a bit of research digging into this in Figma, trying to prototype this, but I'd like for it to actually, as you get to the bottom of a section, for automatically to just shift to the next one. So you're kind of an endless scroll. You would still be able to kind of filter within that category or within all categories. But it would really just allow you to really dive in, especially on mobile, where you can just kind of keep scrolling infinitely. It would also help make it more intuitive for users that you can move back and forth in this menu. So yeah, any questions?
All right, great job, Brendan. Questions?
I thought the idea of having a live stream was really cool. I hadn't thought about that, where it just kind of
I
is
love that.
pushing
Yeah.
whatever we have going, especially if it's real content, but that it's pushed out right away. And that could even be something worth incorporating onto the homepage somehow or another. I don't know how hard that would be, but I think that's a really cool idea I hadn't even considered.
Yeah, echoing what Quorum's saying, I hadn't even considered it either, but something we're continuously coming up against is when we have digital events that are occurring, we live stream it on Facebook and on YouTube, and directing our audience to those platforms when maybe they don't use Facebook, or they aren't familiar with YouTube, but they're familiar with our website, has been really challenging. So having a spot for that to land is really, really awesome.
For sure, and it definitely keeps users engaged in your website as opposed to popping them to Facebook where they're just going to get distracted and lost in something else. So
Exactly, yeah.
And I was going to say, I like that it's just one video. There's not a bunch of distractions. Yeah, like you said, it's one platform per, interest that you can seek out. The only thing I don't find it as intuitive to look, at horizontally for the next, search. So I would tend to use like the magnifying search engine to find what I would be looking for. That's just me.
yeah, I mean, the idea for sure with the idea of it's kind of switching as you scroll down is that since the live stream is only a single video, it would quickly move on to exhibition tours, and you get the idea that
I do like that. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a similar thought, Amy, on a couple of the presentations actually, that when the like the way it sits right now, where the word BIMA is going off the screen on the right side, I would know that would be a visual clue to me that I could scroll. But if you didn't have a word that was cut off like that, it would just look like links at the top, like a menu. And so having some way to indicate, whether it's an arrow or something like that, that you should continue searching to the right or left or whatever it might be.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, another idea I had was that, potentially when you kind of load the screen, it can maybe have a little animation to move a little bit, just to give you that idea that there's an interaction to be had there.
Yeah.
I like having the list available because, I mean, some of these things they may not know if they're not familiar, like they may not know Untold Stories, but they might click on it just because they see it, and then other things that you're looking for specifically, like I go to museum sites all the time, and I'm always I'm always looking for the current exhibitions and anything they may have about it. I know I could look through past exhibitions, but I'm interested in keeping up with what's happening now, and so I just love to see that you could find I understand these titles, and then the ones I don't, I might be motivated to learn more. And the going off the screen is clear to me that there's more there. And then I'm assuming, again, on a menu bar, you might see a whole list or something. We because our demographic includes a lot of older people, especially in our donor pool, people are used to reading things like a table of contents. And I find that that demographic tends to use the menu bars, more than these. But I like the way this is set up.
Me too.
All right. Anyone else? Larry?
I'm just going to say the same thing again. We're 3 for 3. 3 great presenters, super confident, know their stuff, great solutions, great UX design. It's really wonderful to see. I don't know what we put in the water, but we should put more of it in. Did I have a question? Oh, well, you'll understand where this is coming from. So you're going through your personas, and I'm going young, 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 oh, old person. And then bam, you got her out of there as fast as you could. Like it was an embarrassment to you or something. So I suspect that Judy may be more typical of the BIMA visitor than the other guys. So, give everybody a moment in the spotlight. I think that might help you out. But so on behalf of Judy, just would like a little more screen time. But nice job. And you also did something that was not a big thing, but you gave a good rationale for why you use color sparingly. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. We make recommendations. We should be able to back it up. Like, I did this for a reason, a solid reason, and you gave those reasons. So I salute you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great job, Brendan. All right. Up next, last but not least, we have Rachel, and Rachel's going to present her work on the permanent art collection.
Yes, thank you, Luis. Let me share my screen. Okay, you guys seeing that?
Yes.
Yes, all right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you, classmates, and Larry and Mariette for being here, and welcome BIMA team. My name is Rachel, and I'm going to walk you through my design process and solution for the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art's permanent art collection digital feature. And I wanted to give a little overview of the museum for my classmates that haven't been immersed in it this session. So the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art first started in 2009 with this kind of jewel box idea of a museum that would showcase the art of the Puget Sound region. The museum opened its doors in 2013 in a locally designed LEED Gold certified building. BIMA delivers on its mission in many ways. It highlights artists living and working in the Puget Sound region. It facilitates education and outreach, and it just makes the art of our region visible and accessible, primarily by not charging admission, which is really amazing. So if you guys haven't been there, I'm all in on BIMA. It's a really lovely and inspiring place to visit. The last time I was there was about a year ago. And this is a piece called Cyclone Fence by Gail Grinnell. And in that top corner is a little behind the scenes picture. Gail is a friend of mine and my neighbor. And I worked with her to help install 2 pieces in BIMA's Fiber 2020 exhibition. And it was such a fascinating experience to go behind the curtain and be in the museum while pieces were being installed and to talk to other artists. And I was just, had such a great experience. So much so that when I saw this brief, I was hooked. I knew from the start that I wanted to work on this. So thank you for the opportunity. So that brings us to our challenge, to create a way for visitors to explore BIMA's permanent art collection. And this project has actually been on the back burner for a while. It's a feature that would definitely add value to the museum, but it just kind of kept getting pushed back in the priority line. And then everyone stopped leaving their homes a year ago. And BIMA found a silver lining in this shift to the digital realm, in that its members and visitors were willing and eager to engage online. BIMA staff had a lot more time to create digital content, which we've seen in the digital content library projects. And they also had the time to really consider the kind of the function and purpose of their online presence. And this, combined to make getting the permanent art collection online kind of more pressing. So we've got kind of a set of intertwined motivations. In the short term, BIMA's doors were closed. They're not anymore, which is great. But, you know, during the stay home order, visitors couldn't physically come into the museum, and the only way BIMA could reach them was through a screen. In the long term, having the permanent art collection viewable online would help BIMA deliver on their mission to kind of, you know, connect people with the art and craft of the Puget Sound region. It would increase exposure of the artwork in the permanent art collection and also of the artists, which would in turn kind of boost the profile of BIMA. And just becomes this kind of virtuous cycle of increasing exposure and credibility. We have a great, you know, kind of framework for what we want to do and a good reason. And this is something that a lot of other museums do. So I looked at a lot of museum websites and I spent a lot of time exploring them and found kind of the things that all of the museum websites do with their permanent collections. There's usually a top level of categories that set out different paths to enter the collection. There's artwork detail that has generally a picture of the art along with, you know, relevant details about the artwork. And there's a sorting and search and filtering functionality that sometimes has to handle really large amounts of artwork. I did find this really interesting filtering feature on the Walker Art Center website, and they use 4 filters to handle all of their artworks. And I was really intrigued by that and kind of curious to see if I could adapt that to the permanent art collection. So there are opportunities kind of across all of these areas to really tailor this solution to the needs of BIMA. And so my solution will do that by tailoring artwork categories to craft an intuitive path into the permanent art collection. It will show artists and artwork information that reflects BIMA's connection with its community. And this is a solution that is coming from within their community, which just reinforces their mission and values even more. So let's talk about the needs of BIMA and of its users. So Morgan and Logan conducted a stakeholder interview and were kind enough to share their notes with me, so thank you. And what stood out to me from this conversation was that categorizing art is really complicated. You know, we have the media roll-up categories, which are really simple, but once you start getting into media and material, it gets really complicated really fast. The other thing that stood out is that browsing and searching were equally important for BIMA. They wanted users to be able to browse as well as search and drill down into specifics. So that's relevant because when we're doing this work, as you've seen, we create these really specific personas and scenarios to guide the design. In this case, there was a need for kind of multiple pathways and a broader persona. We also sent out a survey via Google Forms to a selection of BIMA newsletter subscribers, along with our friends, colleagues, and family. And respondents called out the benefit of being able to use the internet to find out more about an artwork or an artist. There was this desire not just to look, but to learn. We also found out among our survey respondents that a large percentage of them use Instagram to look at art and artists online. On the other hand, the analytics that we have from BIMA show that the majority of their visitors access the site via desktop computers. So there's this tension, right? Like there's kind of non-BIMA data that shows the importance of mobile. But also there's BIMA specific data that shows the importance of desktop. And one of the kind of best practices in digital design right now is called mobile first, which means that you design for mobile first because that's what most people are using to access your product. And I don't think that approach is really the right fit. I mean, 56% of BIMA website traffic comes from desktop. So we need to take that into account. So we've got this understanding, right? We know what BIMA needs. We know what other museums are doing. We know what users are interested in. So I'm going to talk about our user. Her name is Amy. She lives in Seattle, and she's curious about the artwork being made in her community. She wants to explore the permanent art collection to learn more about local artists and artworks that she's encountered or learned about through other sources. And this sets us up to consider two pathways through the pack. There's the browsing pathway, and there's also the searching pathway. And regardless of how you start, you're going to end up in the same with the same result of being able to view the artwork, learn about the art and the artists, and connect with artists and the museum. So I'm going to map this out to a visual structure. Here are some wireframes, and get into browsing via this horizontal slider for artists. And then also category tiles for different kind of pieces of the collection. The categories can correspond to specific artists or themes. They can also correspond to the media roll-up categories that BIMA uses to organize the permanent art collection. When you click into a category, you'll see a set of thumbnails for the works within each category. And all of the thumbnails will be the same height, but their width will vary to accommodate the different ratios of artwork. And this was a very, I've made this decision, to show as much of each artwork as accurately as possible while maintaining a uniform grid structure. So for mobile, the artist blade is the same. It's a horizontal slider of artist avatars. The category blades actually also make use of the swipe gesture. So the user can quickly horizontally scroll through the items in each category without leaving the main permanent art collection screen. The user can also click into a category and then scroll vertically through all of the artworks. So for visual styling, I worked within BIMA's brand expression. It's very robust and effective, and uses Galano Classic for headers and Maison New for body copy and navigation and captions. Excuse me. I use the colors of the primary palette, the coral, black, gray, and white. I wanted to minimize color in the design so that the artwork really shined. And I stuck with this variable ratio based on either a fixed width or a fixed height that would allow each artwork to be shown as accurately as possible, and built in space for the artwork and information to breathe. So let's look at what it actually is. I'm going to start with a desktop design. So here we are on the main permanent art collection page. And as you scroll, you first see the Explore Artist blade. You can navigate this way, and then you can click into a page of all of the artists. So as you scroll, you see the artist avatars. I didn't want to overwhelm the user with an endless scroll at this point. So the avatars will load 16 at a time. There's an option to load more. You can also navigate directly back to the pack, or you can use this up arrow to get yourself back to the top of the page. If you want to learn more about a specific artist, you can click on their avatar and you'll go to an artist detail page that has a picture of the artist and their bio. There will be a carousel of the works that they have in the permanent collection, along with credit information. And at the bottom, you'll see these expandable menus that give you more information about the artist. So there's an opportunity to look at their website and their gallery representation. You can look at events or exhibitions that are either currently happening or coming up at BIMA. You can see what past exhibitions they've been a part of, and you can see if they have anything for sale in the museum store. So that was the artist browse path. Now let's look at the artwork browse path. Here are the category tiles. So we're starting with recent acquisitions and curators tour, and below that we have category tiles for all of the media roll-up categories. So works in 2D, works in 3D, wearable art, artist books, and children's book illustrations. Beyond that, there are category tiles that highlight different artists or themes, really anything that BIMA wants to draw attention to. And it's a really powerful tool to kind of get attention on to like certain artworks, or kind of, you know, drive the path that the user takes in the site. So when you want to look in a category, you can click on it and you'll see a set of thumbnails of all of the works within the category. And this gives you just a really great at a glance scannable overview of the works in the category. Below that, you can browse into other categories if you want to kind of continue looking. But if you want to look at a specific piece up close, you can click on it. And this page is built to show the artwork at a fixed height, with the intention of having the user able to look at the full artwork without scrolling. As you go down, there is an expandable section where you can look at related works. And then there's a link back to the artist detail page. So that's it for browsing. I'll show you guys searching now. I made the search part of kind of the overall site search. So you click in and you see a search bar followed by options to kind of narrow your search. So we can click in here. It will be a predictive search, so you can choose your term, you can choose permanent art collection, and then drill down to artists. These filters are expandable, and you can kind of check them all out. But for the purposes of this, we're not going to select any. When you execute the search, you'll be brought to a search page that shows you the number of results and your keyword and any filters that you might have selected. So you can take a filter off and your results will be updated. And from here, you can click into any of the artists or any of the works and get back to their artist detail or artwork detail pages. So I'm going to take a quick spin through mobile. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I know I'm taking a while, sorry. I built this to be basically a smaller version of the desktop design, but there were a few little interaction points that were specific to mobile. So explore artists, you know, that kind of happens all in the same way. It's a horizontal slider. You can see all, I guess I can't see all, sorry. And then, you know, you've got this page of artist avatars. And then for the collection, instead of having a single category tile, you have a horizontal blade. So the user can scroll through and see all of the items in a category without leaving the main pack screen. You can also click in, and here we have that vertical scroll, which is a very, very common mobile pattern that I wanted to take advantage of in this design. The artwork detail is similar. There's an option to view related works, as well as a link back to the artist. And search works the same on mobile as it does on desktop. So that was it. As far as next steps, I'd love to dig into understanding search better. I will admit, unfortunately, I kind of underestimated the amount of problem solving that search would take at the beginning of this project. And I would love to gather data, specific data about how BIMA users search for art and how search works on your site, how effective it is. And I'd also like to explore a minimal filter approach along the lines of the Walker Art Center. The other thing that I would love is to see this implemented. You know, I know that the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art will really benefit from implementing, from putting the permanent art collection online. And, you know, in support of that, I've designed this feature to display the pack in an intuitive, accessible format that I think will meet the needs of the museum and its visitors. So thank you, everyone, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Rachel. Great job. All right.
Wow. I'll start just by saying, as much as I like all the new thinking, I really appreciated how much this stayed within the format of the BIMA site, because realistically for us, it's gonna need to fit. For us to be able to accomplish it, we're not going to be able to totally redo the site right now, and it's working well as it is. So we wouldn't. So to see how much this integrates into the style and design of the site, I really appreciate. I was curious about one decision that you made on here, which was on the Explore by Artist. I'm just curious your thinking, because it was really interesting to me that you went with the photos of the artist, where we would probably have chosen a representative artwork to go under their name, but you had headshots for them. And I'm just curious why you chose that route, because it's a new way of thinking about it for me.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking back to when I was working on that installation with Gail Grinnell, and kind of that wonder that I felt from actually meeting other artists. And I, in general, love meeting artists and musicians who are making things that seem kind of impossible, right? There's this really interesting thing that happens when you connect this abstract, like amazing song or artwork with a real person. And I wanted to kind of, you know, get that feeling into the website. And I think BIMA does a really great job at making art accessible. And I thought just, you know, creating more of a personal connection in that way would kind of link back to this community, that feeling that is like very, very strong within BIMA.
Yeah, because that's the feeling it gave me. It was like, oh, it is about the people as much as it's about the art, and we do so much to try to be welcoming, but to see it presented that way, just it gave me a new appreciation for that. What about the rest of you?
I'm going to ask an old school question. Again, I like this. I like the visual look and how easy it is. As the collection grows to several hundred and say over 1,000 pieces, you know, it's somewhere it would be great to just be able to see a list, you know, an alphabetical list of all the artists, because the scrolling, you know, gets so cumbersome at some number of pieces. And I'm just wondering, in all of these presentations, you know, I'm assuming it's then up in the menu bar, like, you know, you hit on, you know, permanent art collection, you know, like there's a list of artists that, I mean, you know, you literally can see the list of artists. You know, I'm just sort of wondering, you know, and then you can click on that, and then you could also go. So I think for people who are going to be more old school in what they're looking for, you know, I'm just wondering how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could achieve that with creating some different sort views of that artist page, where, you know, you have smaller avatars, or maybe you break it down, like you kind of chunk it out alphabetically. I think that's, I mean, it's entirely legitimate and like very forward-thinking approach that I didn't give a ton of time to, but I think it'd be a really, really interesting thing to explore further.
And the same would be true, like on an exhibitions, you know, section. It would be just great to look at a chronological list of exhibitions, you know, and then you know, it's more of a library, you know, inquiry format really than a visual web, you know, format.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Greg, you also come at it from a, like, you know, they were all really trying to explore it from the casual viewer, perspective, and you're coming to it like you're looking for a list because you'll know the names on the list, and a lot of that will mean something to you more than it would to the everyday visitor. Probably it doesn't make it less valid, it's just a different way of looking for the information.
And you know, if you want to hunt around to see if you could borrow works from you know, or even compare, like you know, compare. So it's sort of fun to compare. Sounds kind of bitchy, but it's kind of fun to compare what some other museums have collected, because you know, some museums have put out calls for artists to donate things, you know, as a part of a campaign. I'm not going to name names, in terms of building a collection, and then artists want to be in there, so they donate a piece, but it's not necessarily their best piece, you know. So I mean, part of building a collection is to make sure that you have really amazing, you know, I'm looking at it as a tool, you know, to further our collection as well. But anyway, I liked the look, with all the presentations. I just like the ease of it, that you know, if it wasn't a format you were used to, they all look like they're just easy to dive into and figure out.
Rachel, I agree. I love your presentation. I love how you streamlined all of what we're currently doing and captured just the heart of the artist, having the experience you had and working with Gail. I think that's really great. And just looking at all the artists, I feel like I'm just surrounded by a bunch of friends. Like it's very approachable for the user, and I would just really enjoy exploring BIMA's collection, you know, looking at it in the way that you presented it. So I appreciate your approach.
Thank you.
Yeah, it really hits on the feeling that BIMA likes to have of being welcoming. Some other museum website collection pages feel really institutional, and I think there is a place for that, and kind of place for that, the deep dive, but the front page being a face and then directly seeing just big pieces of art feels like a really easy way to get into it, even if you aren't necessarily the art connoisseur. It felt really nice.
Thank you.
I like the I like using a face in a bio. I would have really mixed feelings, I think, about using the face as the avatar, but I think you put out a fresh idea, and it, you know, causes us to really think about that. I think also, you know, the collection is growing, and you know, a lot of it originally was based on a founder's collection from a you know, I'll just be honest, from a not very diverse, culturally, racially diverse group. And you know, that's strategically we're in the process of building that. But I don't know that it, you know, I just think that I think there are some strategic issues to loading all those spaces right now. So,
I hear that. Yeah.
yeah, because we know that, and we're very, very much working on diversifying everything, but you know, that it takes time, and it takes storage, and it takes all those things. So you know, but yeah, so but I, you know, I think it's fun, you know, I think it's a fun way to show the person behind it, as Coram said.
Yeah, I think there is opportunity to look at other ways you could feature an avatar of grouping, you know, maybe featuring a particular artist from the collection. You know, if it's Larry Avicana, celebrating, you know, some kind of anniversary, or an up and coming, you know, retrospective. I don't know. You know, it's just there's different ways to connect that face and the work, and how BIMA supports that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you know, the category tiles are a really strong tool to kind of guide users to look at the pieces that you want to highlight, for, you know, the variety of reasons that you would want users to look at any kind of sub collection of the permanent art collection.
I can see, you know, artists really doing that more and more to see if their work is a fit for the collection. like if you're a wood artist, I was just noticing there's a very formal group in Seattle, a wonderful, group called Northwest Designer Craftsmen. And I was just looking at their website and noticed they just recently added a whole number of wood artists, and it's kind of like, wow, they must have done some thinking, like, wow, we don't have much. I'm wondering, I'm speculating, I don't know, because I haven't done yet, but they must have noticed there's sort of a void in this. And I think, one of our tools for how we can use it with these categories is, we can really use it to assess, if we have a category of by media, where are our strengths and weaknesses? What should we be collecting? If we have a category of artists of color or, geographic representation, like if we could divide the Puget Sound region into sections much better than the state did with its COVID. No, I'm just kidding. But, we can really use it ourselves. We become the user to really test how successful we are in diversifying the collection. So that's exciting to me, to be able to search by all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's not fair. You gave me 1 minute to comment. Actually, I only have 1 minute's worth of stuff to say. 4 for 4, another really strong presentation. Well done.
Thank
Nice
you, Larry.
confidence and enthusiasm. Excellent. And this is sort of a lesson for everybody. At the end, I certainly noticed how you, I think in a subtle but proud and confident way, you said, this is a good solution. You ought to do this. And I think that that's seldom done in this type of presentation. And I think it's a great model to keep in mind, because I don't know, clients from BIMA, did you feel like you were really having your arm twisted there, or did it just feel like a kind of a good summary?
No, yeah, it felt, I picked up on it, and it felt appropriate and like not like overly done.
That's
It's
great to
cool.
hear.
It's pretty cool when the designer says, I'm excited about this. I'd like to see this happen.
Yeah.
You sure can't fault anybody for that.
Totally.
I also want to applaud everybody for, I think it was kind of said before, but how you all stated what directions you went in and why, what ideas you had. So often people hear what we want, and then they come back and say, you said this, so here it is. But we don't know what's available. We don't know what's possible. We don't know what everyone else is doing. And we really do rely on people approaching things, yes, they have to meet our needs, but, do we really understand our needs in the broadest sense? So all of you were sort of pushing us in different ways, and I appreciate that.
Very much so.
Yeah, beautiful work, everyone.
All right. Well, great job, everyone. I think I agree with Larry and everyone else. I think we had 4 awesome presentations with 4 very different perspectives and solutions. So I just want to thank you guys for your hard work. And I want to thank you, BIMA, Quorum, Greg, Amy, Hunter, Sean, and Hamilton. Thank you for being here today, giving us the opportunity to work on such an awesome museum that means a lot to our region. So thank you so much for that. And as you can tell, the students really were into it, to their work, and they put a lot of effort into their work. They did a lot of user research. They did a lot of information architecture, something that's seldom done in, more specifically in the UI program, but they did it, and I think they did a great job, and hopefully you're happy. And so just to let you guys know, the next thing that's going to happen is the students are going to upload their decks, and then once we have all the decks finalized, we'll go ahead and send them over to you, Quorum.
Okay.
And you can share with your team.
Yeah.
So expect to have those soon with you. And then also Merit has recorded tonight. So we also have the video version of the presentations. Mariette, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. Yeah, I'll try to get that stuff over to you guys tomorrow, if not the next day.
And we just are so appreciative of all the time and the effort you put into this. And if you could send, I don't have everyone's email addresses that worked on this project, but if you could send me that, we would like to send some little thank yous out to you. For all of your
Absolutely.
effort. So,
Yeah. happy to.
Definitely.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thanks so much, Bima.
Thank
I-
you, guys.
Yeah, thank you all. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Have a good night.
Hey, thank you.
everyone.
guys.
You.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Hey.
Awesome job, you guys. Do you feel like you can take a breath now?
We don't
seem-
normally go 4 for 4, you know, that was pretty exceptional. And so what a pleasure to watch.